So in today's video, I thought I would run you through metabolism and how to reset your metabolism. A lot of people believe that your metabolism slows down as you get older, or they truly do believe that they have issues with their metabolism and that's why they can't lose weight or they're really tired, etc. You can see my crutches in the background. I just realized that. Proof of the pudding that I've been on crutches and injured. Anyway, so let's get right into it. We're going to look at it with reference to weight loss, but also with reference to ex-athletes, because there's a lot that comes into play if you were an athlete, you did a lot of sport as well with reference to metabolism, and I'm going to give you some pointers as how to speed up your metabolism so you can start losing the weight, gaining that energy back, digesting food properly, absorbing nutrients properly, and just feeling overall a lot healthier and better, but of course looking better as well. So this image of Mr. Incredible. So this is for ex-athletes who are no longer training professionally, but they still want to stay lean and fit. In comparison, the general population may feel like their metabolism is broken or slowing down due to age, lifestyle, or dietary history, which I pretty much just said before. And the reason I like the picture of Mr. Incredible, and we will get into the science of it in a second, but you can see Mr. Incredible when he was younger, he used to be really fit, right? And that's what most of us ex-athletes feel like. But now we're Mr. Incredible on the right and we're overweight, but we still have that athletic identity. We still feel the need to be fit. We still feel the need to perform well. We still want to feel like Mr. Incredible, right? We still want to be a superhero in a sense. We just don't look like it anymore. So the core scientific topic is metabolic adaptation. So essentially your metabolism can adapt. It can speed up or slow down, right? Or it can freeze and stay the same. So essentially your metabolism changes a lot after you stop intense training or you just stop training altogether because of an injury or surgery or something like that. And that happened to me too. Your metabolism will also adapt if you gain more muscle, meaning your metabolism will speed up. Your metabolism is also with reference to your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's essentially how many calories you burn without doing any activity. Like if you were to lay down in bed all day and like just eat and drink water, or maybe something that's not so healthy like sugary drinks. If you were just going to lay in bed and eat and drink, that is how many calories your body burns to digest the food and also stay alive. Hormones, and then we have our resting metabolic rate as well. So let's break this down. If you look at the diagram on the right, you've got exercise, okay, which accounts for about, it depends how much you exercise and how hard you exercise, but at most it will account for, you know, like 15% of your caloric burn. Caloric burn is also caused by just your body trying to keep you alive and like the just day-to-day chores that you do, like walking around the house, eating, drinking, cleaning stuff up, getting in the car, getting out of the car, that kind of stuff. We also have the thermic effect of food in the orange. So essentially your body burns calories to digest food. It burns most calories by trying to digest protein. However, that doesn't mean you should eat like 3 times the amount of protein per your body weight. Otherwise you will run into issues. So too much or too little is an issue. You want to get the right balance. And then we have our resting metabolic rate, which accounts for about 50% of our daily energy expenditure, which is essentially if you were to lie down in bed and just breathe, you didn't move at all, that's your resting metabolic rate. So our cells, every single cell in our body burns calories to keep our body alive. All right, so most of your calories are, like 50% of them are being burnt by just being alive today. All right. Anyway, so that's that. I hope that gives you a bit of a reference to the breakdown here, but let's get further into it. Why this matters. Is my metabolism broken? It might be. It might be working too slow, or it might kind of have shut down because it thought it was in survival mode. We'll get into that. But potentially that's a question you're asking yourself right now. we also have our daily total energy expenditure. So if you look at the diagram on the right, the blue is your basal metabolic rate, okay, which essentially accounts for a huge amount of your daily energy expenditure and the calories that you burn. When you exert energy, you're burning calories. So most of it is due to your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. We also have your thermogenesis with reference to non-exercise activity. So you also burn a lot of calories by, as I said before, like walking around, just doing stuff, but it's not intentional exercise. It's not like you're actually going to the gym or going for a run, right? For me to walk up the stairs here and pop into my office, I burned calories. That is my non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We have the thermic effect of feeding or eating per se, which again is what I said before. You burn calories to digest food and eat it and break it down. Then we have our exercise activity thermogenesis, which is our EAT, which is the yellow, which is actually just accounts for a small percentage of your daily caloric burn, which is why people think it's all about the exercise, blah, 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 blah. It's not. Okay, it's really not. Especially with reference to weight loss. It's really not all about the exercise. If you could just take an intuitive, smarter approach and understand this, you could lose weight in a much smarter, easier manner. Which is what I'm hoping to get across to you guys today. So what happens to your BMR and your NEAT when training stops? So your BMR, again, is the blue. You stop training because you got injured or something like that. That big part of the blue, which is like over half of the pie chart, is going to decrease significantly because you're going to lose muscle mass, because you also have to keep training and lifting weights to maintain the muscle mass. So that goes down. And then your NEAT goes down as well because you're injured and you can't move around as much. Or maybe you're on crutches like I will. Or maybe you're like sitting in bed, like literally just post-op right now. Okay, so all of this has gone down. And so that's how your metabolism gets affected as ex-athletes. You're no longer training as much, but potentially you were injured and potentially lost a load of muscle, etc. Let's talk about muscle, because I've talked about this a lot. Keep in mind, muscle weighs more than fat, okay? It also burns a lot more calories than fat per pound, all right? So you'll see the diagram on the right. 1 pound of muscle burns 7 to 10 calories during the day, whereas 1 pound of fat only burns 2 to 3 calories, which is why when people gain more muscle and have more muscle, they can eat more than the person who is overweight and trying to lose weight, okay? Chances are, if you're overweight right now, I actually eat more than you, okay? Because I have more muscle with reference to my fat percentage. So, how muscle burns calories? Essentially, you can look at the diagram below that, which looks really complicated. You don't need to understand all of it, but that is like just to show you that there is a cellular process that goes on when muscle is trying to be developed and grown, okay? And so that burns a lot of calories for all of those little microscopic like processes that you don't need to understand to occur. That's why. And the muscle is actually built in your sleep, but long story short, that's why muscle burns more calories than fat. Secondly, we have the impact of muscle loss post-sport. No longer an athlete, not being as active, maybe you're injured, whatnot. So your activity levels are significantly lowered. Therefore, you lose the muscle because you have to keep stimulating the muscle in order to maintain it, nonetheless grow it, right? And so that's the metabolic side of muscle. And muscle protein synthesis, which is basically the understanding that your muscle can grow, it needs that resistance training. It needs the load. It needs the force. It needs something to tell it, oh my God, in order for me to put up with that again, I better adapt. I better change. I better grow new muscle fibers so that I can put up with the load again. It needs to be such a stimulus that your body is in shock in a way, okay? So adaptive thermogenesis and set point theory. So this is a scientific answer as to why crash diets don't work long term. It's also the understanding of how the body adapts by slowing your metabolism and the concept of a metabolic set point and how to shift it. So we're going to go through all of these things. crash diets. Every single person I've ever spoken to tried a diet that didn't work. I even spoke to someone recently and they were on a diet that was like a metabolically friendly diet. And I was like, no, that's not a metabolically friendly diet. Like, I'm sorry. But it's not, because you lost 34 pounds and then put on 20 pounds once you stopped the diet. If it was metabolically friendly, it would have sped up your metabolism. Therefore, even if you ate more, which you obviously did if you put on weight, you wouldn't have actually put on weight. If you didn't understand that, that's okay. This is pretty scientific, but let's get right into it. What happens physiologically? So when you cut calories, let's just say you put yourself in a deficit of like 1,200 calories, which is way too much for anyone. The body perceives that as a threat. So if the deficits you have tried previously were too much, the body thinks it's in a state of fight or flight. Remember, we're in a society where we have 4 walls and a roof, but we are still the same human beings back in, 100,000 years ago, where they had to spear a tiger and not get eaten or hurt by the tiger to have a meal. They lived in survival mode all the time. So when there wasn't any food around, right, because they had to hunt and there would be days and weeks where they went without food, their bodies were primed to be like, oh my goodness, there's not enough food. Okay, I'm gonna try hold on to all of the weight that I naturally have. It's a self-protective mechanism, and that's what you're turning on, right? When you eat like in an extreme deficit and your body thinks it's in like famine or starvation. And so it will literally try and protect you so that you can't lose any more weight. All right? Now, this also triggers, like, scientifically, a lot of hormonal changes for men and women. Men, you are hormonal as well. Maybe not as emotional as us, but you are hormonal, and your hormones still matter. So, this triggers a survival mechanism. For example, thyroid glands, your T3 and T4, those hormones go down, okay, which causes your metabolism to go down. Your cortisol, your stress hormone, will go up, which means that your muscle will actually start to break down and your body will naturally retain more fat. Simply because you were in the wrong deficit, or too much of a deficit, or for too long of a period of time. Third is your leptin, which is your satiety hormone. So that's that feeling of being satiated. Was in a deficit, didn't do their cut right, did a crash diet or something really restrictive. Satiety hormone goes down, therefore you're constantly hungry, therefore you cheat on the meal plan that you were given, or you binge eat, or you just give up altogether, right? And then on top of that, our ghrelin goes up, which is our hunger hormone, which literally tells you you are hungry, you need to eat, which can create a food obsession, but basically like you're constantly thinking about food because you're actually genuinely hungry. This is why crash diets don't work, scientifically. All right, moving on, because I've got a lot to go through. Loss of muscle mass. All right, so that one matters to, it should matter to a lot of people because muscle is the one thing that will add years onto your life. It will increase your longevity. It will prevent you from injury as well, along with bone health and stuff like that. So it is something that's so significant. Even if you're not into gaining muscle and all you care about is weight loss, the muscle is still very important for your health long term. So when you do this crash diet, you basically lose muscle, okay? Crash dieting often leads to muscle loss, not just fat loss. Do you want to lose muscle? No. Who the fuck wants to lose muscle? Do you want to lose fat? Okay. Do you want to lose both? No. Who wants to lose both, right? So unless you want to lose both, don't do a crash diet. Because remember, the weight on the scale is just showing you a numerical value. It is showing you how much you weigh. Your weight is muscle and fat. We all have, even if you're overweight right now and you're like, I don't have any muscle on me, you still have muscle on you. If you didn't have any muscle on you, you'd be a sack of bones and skin and organs and you wouldn't be able to move around. Okay? And so the issue here is you'll lose muscle and you'll lose fat. And when you have less muscle, fewer calories are burned at rest. Meaning you can't eat as many calories if you want to lose weight or just maintain your weight. Okay, which means that you'll regain weight faster. And then naturally, as we age, unless you focus on the muscle mass, the calories that you can eat to maintain your weight will slowly lower because your cellular processes are slowing down more, which is why muscle is really important. Again, so if you didn't understand any of that, let me make it really simple. Imagine your phone, your body is a phone on low battery mode, right? And when it's on low battery mode, if you have an iPhone, like it dims the screen, it shuts off background apps and slows everything down so that the phone can survive on a very low percentage of battery, right? And that's what your metabolism will do essentially when you try a crash diet. How the body adapts by slowing the metabolism down, adaptive thermogenesis. So adaptive thermogenesis is essentially the scientific words that tell you the body's way of conserving energy during weight loss, okay? So after about 10% of body weight, once the 10% of body weight has been lost, your metabolism can drop 10 to 15% more than predicted. It can. Okay, let's just say, I mean this in a nice manner, but let's just say you had a coach who didn't really know what they were doing, or you tried dieting yourself and you didn't do it the right way, okay, and you lost 10% of your weight. Let's just say that was like 10 pounds. But then, because you did it in a non-strategic, non-intellectual way, and you fucked up your hormones that we talked about on the other screen here, because you did that, now your metabolism has slowed down. So now the effort and the things that you did to lose the first 10 pounds won't work to lose the next 10 pounds. And that's why and how people get stuck, right? It can be. But just because you lose weight, okay, it doesn't mean that your metabolism will slow down if it's done in the right manner. All right, so what this means is that your NEAT, like the fidgeting and like your blinking even, and just the little movements that you probably don't notice you do, but that you do, they'll start to slow down and unconsciously drop, you know. Your digestion will also become more efficient, which seems good, but it's not really, because fewer calories are being burned during the food process, during the eating process, because your whole body's basically slowing down. It's like that phone on low battery. It's slowing down. It gets glitchy. You click on the app and it won't open. You try and type a text message and it won't type out the word. And it's like, you know, really slowing down. That's what happens if you don't do it in the right way. That's what happens when your metabolism has slowed down. Why this is hard for ex-athletes. So as an athlete, you were used to a very high total daily energy expenditure, meaning you burnt so many calories that you exerted a lot of energy, and then when the training stops for whatever reason and your eating habits don't adjust, then you just gain weight, right? Because remember that total daily energy expenditure, which is, you know, broken down further in this diagram, but if we go back to the beginning, your total daily energy expenditure, including those little movements, so your NEAT, that's actually a significant part. That's about a third of that diagram on the far right. If that is slowly shrunken, then of course you're going to gain weight if you don't change your eating habits and you just eat the same amount, right? So then when you try to diet aggressively because you're like, oh my goodness, I gained weight, I need to drop this, whatever, your metabolism adapts even further. So look, if you're a bit lost, because this is quite scientific, but I do really want to get the message out, your body is a very smart thing, all right? It's a lot smarter than you think it is. It knows so much. Remember, we come from evolutions and evolutions and evolutions of people. So when you feed your body less, it burns less to protect you. So our bodies, if you look at a bodybuilder on stage when they look phenomenal and they're like super lean, our bodies don't want us to be that lean. They don't want us to be that shredded. Because if it is that shredded, then all it's going to focus on is survival. All right? And trust me, bodybuilders do not look like that for all years and all seasons of their life. It's a very segmented part of time, and most of the time they're in their bulking phase. Let me just drink a bit of water. All right. Hope you can hear this because my microphone is down there. Set point and how to shift it. You may have never heard of this. So what is set point? Your body defends a weight range it has gotten used to over a period of time. I've met many people who lost like 20 pounds, right? On their own. But in reality, they really needed to lose like 40 or 50 pounds. And then the body has gotten used to now being 20 pounds down, that it defends now being 20 pounds down, and it will stay at that weight range, okay? And this is just a natural thing that happens in our bodies. Essentially, it's controlled by a brain signal from a part of our brain called our hypothalamus, which regulates our hormone levels and our fat cell memory, okay? And so if you weighed, for example, 180 pounds for 5 years, your body may fight to return there even after weight loss. Again, this is why your method is very important. So, if you want to know why on a deeper level, your leptin levels drop, so your satiety hormone goes down, your ghrelin goes up, your hunger hormone goes up, cravings spike. The brain drives you to eat more and burn less. Okay? Now, the good news is set points can change slowly if done in the right way. Through sustainable weight loss and maintenance, your body can establish a new norm. And if you guys haven't seen my full program breakdown video, which is long, but it does explain a lot, I explain why and how we do it in a sustainable manner, and why rest and rejuvenation periods are important, refeeds are important, and how we get this person to lose the weight but also keep the weight off long term when they end coaching, right? And break through weight loss plateaus and things like that. So what this requires is gradual fat loss, 1 to 2 pounds per week max. Now, I will admit, when people first start working with me, they usually lose weight quite quickly within the first week, because they're also losing a lot of inflammation and just water retention from maybe some unhealthy foods or pain that their body was in, and now the body's kind of like detoxing in a way because of a few changes that we make to their way of eating. And so they usually lose more than that within the first week. But after that, you know, it slowly goes down week by week. But, you know, if you're losing like 5 pounds every week, I wonder, like, are you going to be able to maintain this weight loss long term? Are you see your body like going to eventually get into the huge hormonal rut? Is your metabolism going to go into survival mode? Well, probably. So it's really important you go the smart manner and the smart route, rather than letting your ego get in the way and being like, no, I need to lose all this weight like within like 1 month. I could definitely help you lose all that weight in 1 month, but I would be the worst coach ever, because then you'll have really messed up hormones and you'll put the weight back on. Maintaining new weight for around 6 months to solidify the new set point as well. So once you lose that weight, you want to maintain that weight for at least 6 months. And you also want to build muscle to support a higher metabolic rate, meaning that your metabolism will speed up, meaning that you'll also be able to eat more while staying lean. That's many people's dream. It's what I live in every day. It's not because I'm lucky, I'm not genetically blessed. No. I had many times where I went through surgeries, lost all of my muscle, my metabolism slowed down, so many other issues. No, it's because I know what I'm doing. So if you want to look at this diagram very quickly here, just to go over everything we talked about, because it was quite extensive. Crash dieting. It triggers your hormone imbalances. It will cause muscle loss, and it is unsustainable, i.e. like the yo-yo effect. Metabolic adaptation. So when your metabolism adapts in a negative manner, in a bad way, remember our metabolism can adapt in a good way where it speeds up, which helps people lose weight. But if it's done in the wrong way and it adapts in the wrong way and it slows down because it's triggered to live in survival mode, it will lower its total daily energy expenditure. It will reduce your non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, and your total daily energy expenditure, and your body will fight the fat loss. So you can be like doing all the cardio, taking all the supplements, like literally doing everything. You don't need to take supplements to lose weight, but let's just say like you did every little microscopic thing for your overall health and well-being and to lose weight. If you messed up your metabolism, your body won't respond. Usually those people are pretty frustrated and understandably why. Thirdly, you have your set point. So it makes sustained weight loss a lot harder and it promotes body weight regain. And then it needs a very slow and strategic reset, okay? So your set point, again, is like a weight that your body just naturally gets used to being at, and then it will fight to stay at that weight because it's so used to being like that, which is why we have to go about it in a very strategic manner. And again, we do have like these reset, rest, and rejuvenation periods to manage that and make sure we're doing it in a very healthy, smart manner. Hormones and weight loss. So I mentioned leptin, ghrelin, insulin, cortisol, some other ones as well, kind of off the top of my head right now, but this diagram shows, like, I guess where those hormones are secreted from. So your hunger hormone is secreted from your stomach. Insulin is secreted from your pancreas. So when we're working with type 1 diabetics, it's something that we do just so that you do know. But when we are, usually they need some sort of insulin pump, particularly the type 1 diabetics, because it's not environmental, it's not lifestyle. They were just born like that. It's just a genetic thing. And then adipose tissue, so your fat, adipose is fat tissue, fat cells, same thing. Just think fat, okay? Fat releases leptin, all right, to the brain. All right, cool, got it. So if we are overtraining, or if we are under eating, or if we're just really stressed, all of those things can dysregulate these hormones. Your metabolism is like a machine full of hormones, if you want to put it that way. So to rebalance these hormones, we need to do it through food, sleep, and the right movement, but in a strategic manner. Here's a science-backed strategy if you're like, yeah, but how do I do this? Give me a strategy. Like, come on. All right, so just like an overall rough idea, because I don't know who exactly is watching this right now. Resistance training to build back the muscle. So weights. Moderate calorie deficit, nothing extreme, don't go crazy, don't let the ego get in the way. A protein for diet, not too much, but also not too little, all right? And movement throughout the day, don't be a couch potato. If you have a sedentary job, try get some movement in and really prioritize your sleep and recovery. Those who prioritize sleep, they prioritize it because they understand how much it means to them. If you want to check out my video on sleep, I'll link it at the end of this video. So the answer to the question that, or the thought that your metabolism is broken, it's not broken, it's adaptive, meaning it's slowed down for some reason. Nonetheless, it's adaptive, so we can speed it up. So you can reset it with the right science-backed approach, keep it sustainable, not extreme. So here's a bit of a bonus to finish off here. Again, this is really generalized, so do take it with a grain of salt. Everyone's different. I don't know your exact situation. Potentially walking 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day right now is the worst idea ever because you just tore your ACL or, you know, I don't know what your situation is. So this is very rough. Take it with a grain of salt. If you want to talk to me about a real strategy and map out a real game plan for you, you can book a call with me via the link in the description box below if you're serious. But yeah, here we go. Lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. Eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Again, this is rough. This is not what I go off for my clients. Walk 8 to 10,000 steps per day, sleep 7 to 9 hours, and stay consistent 80% of the time. Remember, you have a life. It's okay to go and take your wife on a date. It's okay to go and have a... I'm not a fan of alcohol, honestly. That's my judgmental view coming in, though. Like, if that's part of your lifestyle, it's okay to go and have a beer with your mate, right? All of those things are okay in moderation. But if you want real results, it's important that you at least stay consistent 80% of the time. I always have a quote within my coaching mentorship. You put in 80% effort, expect 80% of the results. You put in 100% effort, expect 100% of the results. You put in 5% effort, only expect 5% of the results. So to bring it all together here, you don't need to train like an athlete anymore to get back to where you were, because you're not in that lifestyle, or you probably don't have the same goals anyway, and maybe you have injuries and things like that. Like, your life is different. Just accept that. What you need is to train smart, like someone who values longevity. All right. And something for me personally, this is going a little bit off topic, but for something for me personally is a lot of the things I did as an athlete actually weren't helping me in terms of my longevity. I pushed through so much pain in my ankles that I shouldn't have pushed through. Okay. I caused a lot of arthritis in my feet. I have to be really mindful of mobilizing my spine every day and doing a lot of spinal work, because your spine starts aging from the age of something like 13. I remember one of my coaches telling me that way back in the day. And then we put our spine through all of these ridiculous movements that obviously as human beings we're not built to do. And so she always made us do this spinal work, which I still do, because I've noticed it's like your back isn't meant to bend that way or that way, and it still does, but you know, you're getting older now. So train smart, eat smart, go about it in a smart approach. Think of the best version of you who prioritizes their longevity. Think of the 80-year-old version of you who's fit, who's healthy, who has more energy than they do right now. I have more energy than I did 5 years ago. 100%. 100%. Usually people think, oh, I'm getting older, therefore I get more tired. No. That's just a belief that serves you to stay stuck. It's not true. I've seen so many people. I've even, coached people who were in their 70s as a face-to-face trainer a very long time ago, who ended up getting so fit. They were looking phenomenal for 70 years of age, you know? So don't let age disguise you. Don't let an injury, don't let those beliefs keep you stuck. I know a 55-year-old man who is overweight on depressive medications and stuff like that. Tries to not eat any carbs, but he's, chubby, doesn't train, doesn't care for his health, always really stressed. And I also know another 55-year-old who literally doesn't even look 55. Like, he looks 40. And he looks like a really fit 40-year-old. So it's all possible when you have the right belief system and you go about it in a smart manner. That's it for today's video, guys. If you do want to book in a one-to-one chat with me, fill out the booking form below, but that's only if you're serious. Please don't waste my time. Other than that, I might just leave it here because it's been a bit of a long one. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll try my best to come out with some more educational content that can help serve you in the meantime. But again, at the end of the day, all of this is pretty generalized, because what really is going to work for you is different compared to what's going to work for Amy, what's going to work for Eric, what's going to work for Mark. Like, it's all very different based on who you are. But I hope it educates you and gives you that insight that potentially you were missing before clicking on this video. But that's it for today. I will see you in the next one.